I actually started looking into franchising probably in the 2015 era, looking at different companies, because I knew that was before we started Record Homes and our manufacturer dealership. But I knew that I wanted to grow past the single company model that we had, because me, my brother, and my dad are all equal partners.
Hey, welcome to the Mobile Podcast Trailer. This podcast is for creatives, the dreamers, the risk takers who never planned on being entrepreneurs, but found themselves building something anyway. We sit down with local businesses and business owners to talk about the real journey behind the work, the creativity, the pressure, the doubt, and the moments that made it all worth it. If you've ever thought, how did I end up here? You're in the right place. My name's Jesse, and today I am joined by my good friend, Kable Record. We are going to talk about franchising. So over the course of the last year, Kable has jumped into the world of franchising, and we are going to learn as much as we possibly can about it. The good, the bad, the beautiful, the ugly. So welcome, Kable, to this podcast.
Thanks for having me.
How the heck did you get to a place where you were like, yep, franchising?
I certainly never thought I was going to land in a restaurant franchise. That was never on my radar. Not exactly, at least, but I started out as a concrete contractor working for my dad. We eventually became a general contractor. Then we used the money we built or made there to start a manufactured home dealership. And then that was what the funds that helped us launch our franchise. I actually started looking into franchising probably in the 2015 era, looking at different companies, because I knew that was before we started Record Homes and our manufacturer dealership. But I knew that I wanted to grow past the single company model that we had, because me, my brother, and my dad are all equal partners. And all three of us running the same company was unnecessary. So I knew that I wanted to grow us past that. And so we eventually started Record Homes, and that's a whole nother story. But after that, I started looking again at, well, where can we grow next? What's our next step? And I looked into burger franchises into medical franchises. You have the entire baby boomer generation that's getting ready to land, and all of them are going to need some kind of medical service. And there's all kinds of franchises that you can join. That
Assisted living.
Yes. All kinds of models. And there's great benefits to them, but I wasn't interested in it. I was just having a hard time finding the right fit. And so I kind of let it go for a while, knowing that I needed to do it, but just not finding the right thing. And I actually went to lunch with a colleague, and he mentioned it. He's like, hey, have you ever heard of Playa Bowls? I'm like, no, what's that? And so that's what started the conversation. That was actually the beginning. That was around February of 24.
So early 2024.
Yeah.
You're starting to investigate Playa Bowls.
Yeah. So the idea is that me and my brother have 8 kids between us, and we want our kids to be able to work with us like we were able to work with our parents. And that's really valuable. I think families are meant to do that, to pass on that to each generation and be in business together. It's just so many benefits from that. And so a franchise was an easy step to allow that to happen.
Right.
Our 2 other companies, for all 8 kids to come into business with us, we would have to grow them significantly. And we are very niche down, very specific, and very profitable where we're at. And growing the company that much just isn't on our radars. We're not interested in that big of a construction company. So a franchise like this allowed us to have multiple locations and easily just jump right into business. We don't have to go figure everything out. We don't have to try to launch a new brand. We just pay our franchise percentage every month, and then the rest is all taken care of. I mean, it's just
So talk about that.
We plug into.
Yeah, talk about that as far as like what are some of the major benefits of buying into a franchise?
I don't know the exact numbers, but in general, when you start a new business, you can generally figure on not making any money for 3 years, maybe 5, and you're struggling and you're pushing and you're learning all the things you have to learn to be a successful company. A franchise lets you skip all that and go right to the successful company. Like you already have the metrics to measure that this company is successful if applied correctly, obviously.
Right.
And you don't have to go through the 3 or 5 years of struggling to hopefully get to that successful point. You just skip it and you go right to the profit part.
Right.
And that's worth the 6 or 8% or whatever the brand might charge. That's well worth it in my mind. Most people finance franchises, and I understand why. That does make it a little bit more complicated. We were blessed enough to not have to finance it.
Right.
We were able to pull it out of our other companies. So like our first store is open now, and we'll make money this month, but the last 3 months, it was a loss. And that would have been tough if we were making up the difference for the loss and paying a payment on whatever our financing was.
Yeah. Now with this, like with Playa Bowls, why did you guys end? Like, why didn't you choose another franchise? Like
that's a good question.
Like Smoothie King or like something within the same vein of what Playa Bowls is, but slightly different. What made this one?
Yeah, great question.
Yeah.
There's this. So that was why I kept struggling finding the right product, the right brand. This Playa Bowls specifically has a lot of things that are unique and perfect for us. It's a premium brand compared to all the other products out there. It's definitely better. There's some pretty low end brands out there that offer acai that I won't name them, but they definitely have an inferior product. Their stores just don't have the same vibe. It's just not as good of a brand. So we have a premium product with high quality food. Acai is really expensive, and if you process it correctly, it's expensive. So we do all those things. We have a great vibe in our stores. We didn't want to buy into, say, a Jimmy John's franchise where there's only 2 locations left in the whole valley. Because I have a friend that's looked into it, and they had 2 locations left, and they were just the worst ones, right? So, yeah, there's benefits to an established brand, but there's no growth, right? And we are looking for the growth side of the brand. So Playa Bowls has 350-ish locations open with high aspirations for more and a lot of room for growth. So that allows us to be in that growth phase where there's a lot of money to be made and a lot of room for having multiple stores. So that allowed us to buy 10 locations right off the bat. And we basically own the West Valley and most of the North Valley, all the locations that are available. So we have plenty of room for growth.
And so let's talk about that for a second with regard to the amount of, are they licenses? Is that what your or the rights? Is it, what's the, so you bought 10, the ability to open 10 locations, and could you sell those off and make a profit on those if you said, no, we just want to stop at 5?
So the way it works is in a franchise, they have, and this is not every franchise probably, but the majority, they have preset locations that they've put a pin on a map, and they have those for sale. What that does is it gives you the rights to that location within a certain radius. And we bought 10 of those pins that say no one else can open a store within a radius of this pin. And now we have the rights to that location. Then from there, we start looking at commercial property with a broker. We put in LOIs, we make our offers, we eventually sign leases, we eventually build out, right? It's all a process from there.
Right.
But between us and the franchise owner, now let's see, franchisor. Anyways, the franchise, between us and the franchise, we have an agreement. It's called a MUTA, multi-unit development agreement.
Okay.
That says that we own 10 locations and that we are obligated to open them within a certain time frame.
And what's that time frame?
For us, it's everything within 5 years. So we have every 6 months we need to open a store.
All right. So you're 3 months into this store. So to be on track, you need to have another location in place.
Yeah, which is tough. And excuse me. And that's actually something that we're working on right now. The market in Phoenix is so tough.
It is.
That we still don't have a second location. I have a few in the works and 3 of them that have fallen through, but no actual concrete location. So I'm putting in the legitimate effort. So, and the brand sees that. So they're not like immediately kicking us out. Right. They understand that I'm not just here wasting time and just saying no to all the good locations.
Right.
And so, that's a good relationship to have with the franchise. You know, they're not just demanding that I do one thing and not caring about anything else and whether you're working on it or not. And so Playa Bowls is actually a really good brand. I'm very impressed with their corporate structure. They've been bought out this year, and the people they're putting in place are really impressive. Their skill sets.
So let's talk about that for a second. Like, you just said that they've been bought out. So is that a private equity firm?
Yeah.
Okay. So originally, the relationship that you were building with the people that, you know, were the previous owners, how important was like your connection personally? Like our friendship, you know, was it like a platonic, like, you know, cool friendship, or was it a just like strictly business kind of thing? Like, how important is, you know, the vibe of the company, I guess?
Depends on the size of the franchise, because the bigger the franchise, the more corporate it's going to feel.
Right.
Playa Bowls was started by a couple of surfers that came back from Brazil and said, let's start a stand, and they did a great job. Abby's still involved, which is one of the reasons why the brand has survived so well and so consistently. So she got bought out. And then when I came into the franchise, they were in the midst of being bought out by this new company. So
okay.
I don't have much of a this company relationship. Most of my relationships are in the middle, and then now with the new people that they're putting in place.
Mm-hmm.
I do the salesman that I talk to. I actually know him from other places, so I have a pre-existing relationship with him. That's a good relationship, and you know. But the brand itself, they're almost all the key players are very well experienced. They basically, you know, grew up with Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts and followed them through all the stages that they went through, all the way to going public and being really big premium brands. And now they're here with us, and they don't have to figure out, well, how are we going to make Playa Bowls successful?
Right.
They are just taking the things that they already figured out and applying them to Playa Bowls.
Well, isn't that part of the, like, once you've figured out the system of creating a successful company, it's a lot easier to just replicate.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm still, like, I'm trying to build this as a repeatable product.
Mm-hmm.
But I still operate it in such a mom and pop, like, just me, kind of operation. And I'm like, I really want to grow it to where I can put these trailers in different states and give, put a trailer in, and it's like, I have an operator. And I don't know that franchising is necessarily the right option, but I feel like at a small scale, I could probably do that. But I would need, it all comes down to the systems that really make a franchise the successful piece, right?
Yeah, it's all about creating the systems that you can replicate for someone else. And that's a tough thing to approach too. There's a lot of downsides to franchising. There's all kinds of stipulations by the government, FDDs, all kinds of reporting. It's not simple.
Talk about that. Like unpack, so we've talked a lot about some of the pros. Like unpack the cons a little bit.
As a franchise, like to franchise your company, or as a franchisor where I'm at.
The franchise, like you being the franchisor, or the franchisee.
So
I guess
finding the right franchise is important because you have an odd relationship as a franchisor. You are taking on all the risk and you have very little control, right? So let's say with Playa Bowls, I had to spend all of the money to open the store. I had to spend all the money to pay them for the rights to open that store. I had to sign a lease and offer all kinds of personal guarantees. I had to, for 10 years at least, right? I have all of the risk. They have zero risk. They just get a check. Whether I am making money or not, they get a percentage of what comes in my door forever. And there's no getting out of that as long as I have Playa Bowls written on my store.
Is that percentage 6%?
It's 6% with Playa Bowls with a 2% marketing fee. Right? So if franchisor takes 8%. On all the risk, 8%, with very little control. So if the corporate structure starts taking advantage of you, and the most, the famous example is Blimpies. Blimpies? Wait, maybe you can edit that out. Is it Blimpies? What was the sub place?
Was it, well...
why am I blanking out on that?
Is
Not
it Jimmy John's?
No, it's, they were in the gas stations. What were they called? Come on.
No, I'm pretty sure you were right.
Is it Blimpies? Why does that sound wrong?
Yeah. Blimpies it was like the competitor to Subway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But was it Blimpies? That sounds weird.
It does sound weird.
Okay, I gotta look it up.
We're pausing for station identification.
Don't you have like the guy on the edge of the
that's
the
just
screen
like
what's his name in Rogan's show?
I can't remember his. I don't listen to Rogan too
Blimpie.
often. Yeah,
it is Blimpie.
It just sounds wrong.
Blimpie is the best example because what they did is they tried to make all the money and pay. They basically tried to own everything, the whole process, and they were making money off of they were charging the franchisors way more money than they should have been paying, or that they could have paid somewhere else to make more money off of the brand. And they basically were just not sucking the franchisors dry until the whole concept collapsed in on itself. And now there's no more Blimpies.
Right. Yeah. So they basically were, what's the phrase that we would go with? They kind of just sunk their own ship. Yeah.
And it's kind of like studying Kodak and understanding what happened to Kodak. It's the same thing. You can study Blimpie as an example of what not to do or what to look for. And so that is very important, that you find a franchise with a good relationship that is beneficial to both, because both sides can be harmful to the other. And but more so the franchise itself, they can add costs, they can quit driving growth, or not really put any money into spending, or, outright fraud. I mean, there's all kinds of things that can happen. So
Right.
it's really important. A really good metric to look at is how many stores are being opened by existing franchisees and new owners. If that ratio is off, if there's almost no stores being opened by existing franchises, they're all new franchisees, then you know that the franchisors are having troubles and they're not seeing it as a good concept, and so they're not growing. And the brand is spending all their money on getting new people in constantly.
Right.
Whereas if the opposite is true, which is the case at Playa Bowls, the overwhelming number of stores that are being opened are all existing franchisees, because they're all doing well and growing, and they like the brand.
Right. And so I know that you're new, the store's new, operations are new. What are some hurdles that you've had in the shop that you didn't think would come up?
I didn't have any that I didn't think about. And we've had
because
very
Cable's
few.
Perfect. He's perfect practically perfect in every way.
I spend a lot of mental energy. Well, in general, I do that where I try to analyze things from as many angles as possible, so that when I get there, I already have it figured out. And we hired a premium level manager on purpose, because the most value I can provide is in opening more locations.
Right.
If I'm stuck running operations, then I'm not opening more locations.
Yep.
And now I'm not making as much money. So in the whole buy back your time method and understanding where your value is, I optimized our store to be run really well, and we pay for it. She's more expensive.
Yes.
So that as we open more stores, which I would have liked to have already done, I can spend all my time opening new stores, and I never have to worry about, is my store being run properly? Corporate came out, they did an inspection, and we scored the highest number in the state. The only reason we lost any points is because I didn't have a cabinet in the bathroom, which is frustrating, because I actually looked for a cabinet at like 3 different places. I went to Lowe's and I just couldn't find the right one. And then I just forgot.
Yeah.
So it was even something that I actually tried to do, but didn't do.
Yeah.
But anyways, our store's really clean and run really well.
Yeah. I would say that probably, I know that the first store has its challenges, but I think number 2, it's kind of like you're always more sore after working out the second day after you've done that muscle group. And so it's like your second store, like acquiring the location will probably be more challenging. But once you get to third and fourth and fifth, I think it'll get a little bit easier. I think there's still obviously going to be challenges, but I think it will become kind of a more, now you've duplicated the success rate and you'll know how to, move forward in that process. It'll get a lot easier.
So we're a general contractor, which is unique and allows us we built our own store.
Right.
So I was able to build it faster, build it cheaper is great. It's a hard part about franchising, is finding a GC, someone that can actually build it, that doesn't overcharge you. And that's a whole nother story. But it was tough, because I had to not only learn how to build a store. I mean,
because you have to fit a certain aesthetic, right?
I got a truckload of bare wood, a 3x12s, 10 feet, 12 feet long. And I had to turn that into, 48-inch countertops and wainscoting on the walls with it. It's not like it showed up as a kit.
Did they provide that material?
Well, I bought it, but they provide the supplier. So
okay, so they tell you where to go so that way you get the consistent look and feel of everything else.
Right. So I had to buy the right barn wood for our walls, but it just showed up as lumber.
Right.
I had to cut it and shape it, turn it into all the things that the store and the brand has, which is what the GC does. So that's what I did, right? I had to go to other stores and look at pictures and scratch my head and talk with my framer and, and all carpenter and all the things. And I built out a whole store, but I also had to learn operations at the same time, which is what most owners only do because they let their GC figure out everything else. And I had to go to training and I had to learn all the things and all the systems and Clover and all the subsystems and how do you make a bowl and how do you clean the store and what's a 3-basin sink and all the new things that were new to me.
Yep.
I had to do all that at the same time also.
Yeah.
So I'm actually really, really excited for store number 2 and 10, because everything is going to be so much easier. I don't have to learn how to build a store. All I have to do is just do what I did, repeat that. So there's no mental energy left or
expended.
Yeah, there you go. Expended to building store number 2. Then operations, I also don't have to do that, but even better yet, all of my training can happen at my store number 1. And all of my staffing issues that I may or may not have, is easy because now I have 2 stores worth of employees and I can cross them over and I can have all the new employees for the new location training at my other store for 2 weeks, instead of trying to open and train all at the same time.
Yeah.
We had probably 30% more labor hours in our first few month or so than we had to have. We paid almost double for labor because you have people that are slower and they don't know what they're doing and you're training them, all those things on store number 2 don't happen. So not only will it be cheaper because I'll be more efficient in my build,
right?
Everything will be easier.
Well, I think too, one of the really cool benefits of Playa Bowls is you guys were the first Playa Bowls in the West Valley.
Mm-hmm.
So there isn't, there isn't the knowledge of what to expect from it. So if you were to buy into a Chick-fil-A and the Chick-fil-A wasn't operating at the rate that people are used to, there would create this discrepancy or this disruption in oh, well, maybe this isn't the Chick-fil-A that we need to go to, So the operations of Playa Bowls, everybody learning, even though store number 2 will be more efficient, there was some grace given in hey, we just built this store. We're all brand new. And people were excited because it was something that they weren't expecting, or it was just, it's different. Having an acai, there aren't many people, at least in my opinion, unless you're in the fitness world, that are wildly aware of acai.
So there's a trade-off with growth, and that trade-off is brand awareness. So we have a lot of opportunity for growth, and we have the ability to own a whole section of town.
Mm-hmm.
But the trade-off is we also have to teach and educate the public on who our brand is and why they should like it. That's one of the benefits of having a premium brand is I don't have to try to convince someone. I don't have to sell them on Playa Bowls. I just need them to have it once.
Right.
There's only 2 people. There's the people that have never had it and the people that really like it.
Yep.
And I've never met anybody in between. And that's really valuable in selling that brand awareness because I don't have to try to convince people hey, you should come back. They want to come back. It's a really good product. But
if you weren't so far away, I would probably have it more often.
I'm sure you do someday.
We'll just have you open the store close to me. You have the Biltmore.
I'll open Biltmore here. Well,
hopefully,
whenever I find the right, the right location.
Would it be beneficial if I'm looking for locations for you?
Commercial real estate's crazy. It's so much different than residential. It's not only such a little small world. Everybody knows who everyone is. If you or I see a sign, it was negotiated and sold 12 months ago, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Right. By the time that sign is up there, that's just an advertisement for the broker or the firm. Like that before it was even built. Like right now, I'm negotiating on a product in Desert Ridge area that they aren't even at the auction to purchase the land from, was it BLM or whatever, like the government
group,
the government land auction.
Oh, okay.
That hasn't even happened yet. And I'm already negotiating and putting an offer in. So by the time you see the ground breaking or, tractors out there,
it's sold.
Yeah, it's gone. I mean, anything that's left is usually either you don't want it or there's already a brand in there. Cause that's what happens for me the most is I will find a location and it's perfect, except for there's already a brand in that area that has an exclusive that pushes me out of that complex. They might only sell smoothies or something or coffee or whatever it is that's not an acai bowl, but it's already in the language of their lease that I can't get in there. So you're not only looking to find the actual locations, which location. You're trying to find the right ones. Then you're trying to find ones where all the other things also you can check off the list.
Right. That's insane. So what are you willing to talk costs?
Yeah.
Numbers. Okay. So, what was the initial buy-in for the 10, for the 10 rights?
We spent $35,000 per location. But only on the first location. The rest of them, we only had to pay half up front.
Okay.
That's pretty typical across franchising.
So you paid $35,000 for the first one and then $17,500 for the other 9.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what were the costs to build out the location?
When you look into a brand, the FDD gives you
and can you give me what does FDD stand for?
Franchise Disclosure Document.
Okay.
So that document is dictated by the government to disclose all the metrics that might be important to a person. So you can get that FDD. Usually you got to talk to the franchise directly, but I'm sure there's copies of most of them online that it'll tell you a few important things like what is the AUV, which is the average unit volume. And that tells you across all the stores, how much are they making average? Because you're going to have some in New York that are making a whole bunch of money and then some in some small town that aren't doing as well. That doesn't mean they're not making a profit, but they're just
not as
making
busy.
The volume. Yeah. And so we looked at the AUV, and Playa Bowls has a good AUV. And then they also list out the build costs, their estimated build costs. And Playa Bowls is somewhere, it ranges because you might open up, there's a location that opened in New York that was really expensive. Or no, I take that back. It was the airport. They opened in an airport and it was really expensive. I think it was over $1 million to open that location. So that's in there too, right? Now that she opened that store, that $1 million is indicated in the next year's FDD. But, we were able to open for $350, which is cheaper than most people, but we're the GC.
Right. So it was $350,000.
Yeah. And I expect that to go down on the next location.
Okay. What are your projected costs for the next location, you think?
I hope to get it under 300.
Yeah. Now, one of the things you mentioned earlier was you got delivered a bunch of lumber. So Playa Bowls has a supplier of material and you have to buy it through them? Or could you have gone, hey, I got all this in place, or do you have to, via the contract, buy from the supplier that they
dictate the suppliers you use?
Down to the food?
Yeah, down to the food. And a good brand should.
Yeah.
You don't want a bunch of franchisees out there sourcing their stuff and cutting corners,
Right.
and then not having like the right feel in their store. Like if I would have gone and got like cheap tile from Mexico that was close enough, then my store wouldn't have had that same vibe, that feel.
Right.
So having those, it's kind of a bummer on my end because I had to buy my tile from a guy in New Jersey, which is where the brand originated from.
Right.
And they're in the midst of fixing that because they're talking about California now and continuing to grow west. And it's unreasonable for me to buy something from New Jersey. Those are just growing pains, just part of a brand that's growing, and we're the furthest west store as of right now. So, those are just
you guys are like
catching up.
You're East California at this point because you're in Buckeye.
Yeah.
Right. Which, for us Arizonans, which both Kable and I are native Arizonans, Buckeye was like the end of the earth growing up. And now
I grew up in Buckeye.
I know you did.
It was the end of earth for you.
It was, being in the city. We had to drive like an hour to get to when we were in our, growing up in youth group, we would go to Six Flags Magic Mountain for the Hallelujah Jubilee, where Christian bands would be playing at Six Flags, and we'd go there and ride roller coasters and watch bands.
I never did that one.
You never did that one?
No.
Dude, that was...
Definitely went with the youth group to Magic Mountain, but I didn't know they had that.
Yeah, it was pretty rad. But I remember we would drive, it was in Ahwatukee, so we were Southeast Valley, and we would drive for an hour and we'd be like, oh, cool, we made it to Buckeye. We're almost to Blythe. And that was like our marker, because we could say we're almost to Blythe, where we knew we were going to get in and out.
All right. Yeah.
And that was because you would cross the border. And at that time, in and out was only in California, and we'd cross over and it was like the best thing ever.
Nice.
So, so as far as franchising goes, what are your, you're in the midst of it, you're growing. Are you seeing any profits, or is this like still a kind of, you're just throwing money into it at this point?
Now that we've opened our store, I've been able to study metrics better and more extensively, and demographics. And our Buckeye location scores the lowest no matter which direction I approach it from. And I've approached it from a lot of directions. Not that that's necessarily bad, but the store so far is at a net loss, but we are in profit this month. And the general flow in Arizona that I've been able to identify talking to other franchisees here in Arizona is that September, October, November is basically the dip. And we opened in August. So we opened August 9th, and then September, you can see it just started dropping off. And at the time I was like, oh man, what's going on? Like, why aren't people coming back? Whatever. Like, I didn't know any different. Yeah. And now I have enough data to see like the pattern. I can see us slowly like climbing back out of it. I can see that we'll have cycles like any other business, that the spring and the summer here will just keep growing and profits will go up. So I'm not worried about us overall for the year over year. But it is always easier when you're making money.
Yeah.
And again, that's the benefit of a franchise. So even paying our franchise fee, like we didn't lose very much money. We just, a few thousand, and here we are in month 4 already making money, and we'll make money year over year, just not for a couple of months there.
Yeah. Well, because you'll always see that dip. And you know what? So in Phoenix right now today, the temperature is a little bit lower than it has been. It's cooler, possible rain. Do you see, as you look at the metrics, like the downfall of like days when the weather's cooler versus, because I imagine when it gets hot, you guys are going to be just like nuts.
It's interesting. You know, Arizona, when the weather gets cool and rainy, people want to be outside. So we actually don't see the dip here like you would in New Jersey. In New Jersey, back east, a lot of the stores, they'll close down. Like they just shut the doors.
Because it's not even
frozen
worth
outside. Nobody wants
not even
cold
worth
Playa Bowl.
Yeah.
So that's beneficial to us here in Arizona. I actually don't have enough data yet to say, yeah, when it's cloudy outside, this happens. We have a new system that's coming online. It's an upgrade from Clover called Q, and it will actually have all that built into it. It'll actually have weather, and it will help you. And this is all stuff I'm being told, but the idea is that it will help you create your schedule based on the weather forecast. Like it might say that you need 2 people instead of 3. Well, you would normally on that day at that time, you would need 3 people on staff because here's what you've done, you know, every week.
Past,
and this is how much business you get on this day at that time. But today it's cloudy, or today it's raining, or the temperature's, 10 below. And so now you only need this many people. That'll be interesting. I mean,
so what you're saying is there's an implementation of some AI.
Yeah, it's AI powered, and it's supposed to do all the things that we wish the current software would do. Mm-hmm. What we have right now is a hodgepodge of different softwares that are all plugged into each other as a brand went from a single cart to 300 stores, right? And
right.
350 now, and they've been working on it a while, but we're finally implementing it this year, and it's just the natural evolution of things. I mean, you know, she started out with probably a cash drawer and no credit card machine, and just kept adding on. And
that would have been great if it just stayed cash all the way through.
And if those are good problems to have. That means that you have a successful brand that has a lot of growth. I'm okay with all that because I see the franchise doing all the things that I think are necessary to mitigate those things and solve all the problems that are happening.
Right.
And so, it's just a temporary thing.
Yeah. Is there anything that I didn't ask that you think would be beneficial for those who are listening?
It's a good question. We covered everything pretty well.
Because franchising is an interesting thing, and it's kind of a hot button
franchising is
topic right now.
Franchising is a great way to jump into a business, and while you take on all the liability of running it, not corporate, it is a great way to lower the risk of starting a new business because you can study that business, that brand, and find out, is this a good fit for me? Will I enjoy it? Do I like it? You can call other franchisees. I didn't realize in the beginning of the process that part of the process is calling other franchise owners. Mm-hmm. And it was such a great process. Every time I called, I was super nervous. Like, oh man, like, is this guy going to want to talk to me? And everybody was so helpful, which is great because now I get to return the favor. I'm happy to talk to a new potential franchisee. But I like the idea that you can find and search through franchises, and there's so many of them out there, that you can find the right fit for you. And someone that's, say, in an office job, a corporate job, and they're just wanting to do their own thing, they don't have to learn how to be a businessman. I was already a businessman. We've already have other companies.
Right.
So the benefit to most people, though, is that they don't have to try to learn business. They just plug into the system. They can just start. Yeah. They get all the bookkeeping and the systems and everything that it makes for operations, and all of those things you get with just that one franchise fee.
And, you know, for not that this is a sales pitch for Playa Bowls, but like how, like a lot of people will, with a W-2, will be concerned with how much time it's going to take from them every day. So like, is Playa Bowls a company that you could say, I put in, because you put in a lot of hours building out the store, which is a unique piece of the puzzle. But you know, could somebody have a W-2 and kind of run this on the side and see it being a success in, you know, 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, but you get what you put into it. So if you are absent and just hoping that someone will make it profitable for you, then you'll be limited on how much money you can make, because you have to do two things. You have to pay for the right person, which takes out of those profits.
Which you kind of chose to do with hiring a good manager.
Yeah, we pay 50% more than we had to. But for that 50%, I don't have to worry about the store. I mean, it's out there making money right now, and I'm doing a podcast, right? So that was the right approach for us. Not every franchise works exactly like that.
Right.
Some are very owner operator intensive.
Right.
So it all varies, but you either have to pay for the person to be there, or you pay for it because you're not there and they're not doing a very good job. Either way, it costs you the same amount of money.
Right. Well, you know, that's an interesting piece, because every once in a while we'll get a pizza from Little Caesars. And I'm pretty sure that Little Caesars is a franchise. There's one right by our house. And for the longest time, the operations stunk. Like, absolutely atrocious. Like, we would order it online. I'd show up and I'd still have to wait in line for it to come. They have the pizza portal and everything. And they would never use that. And so what ended up happening recently is we've gotten 2 pizzas recently from there 2 different times. And I could tell that they either are under new ownership or new management that really cares, because the store looks different, feels different, even though it's the same thing, and all of the operations, all the systems are working properly. And I asked them, I was like, you guys have like a new operator? And they're like, yeah. And they're really driving us hard to get better. And I was like, good.
That's good.
Because I was just coming to you out of pure convenience, because you're 2 minutes from my house. But now it's a little bit easier. Not that I consume the Little Caesars pizza, but the kids do, and they like it. And it's $6. So
it's not real food, but
no, not even close. Not even close to real food. Awesome. Well, I think what we're going to do is put a pen in this franchise discussion